Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
You know that feeling when you've just said yes to something you absolutely didn't want to do? Maybe it was volunteering for another committee. Maybe it was staying late at work again. Maybe it was listening to a friend's problems for 2 hours when you yourself were drowning. And as the words left your mouth, "Sure, I'd love to help," you felt this sinking, this weight settling into your chest. And here's the thing nobody talks about: you're not just exhausted. You're resentful. And that resentment, it's eating you alive. Because the people you're giving to, they have no idea. They think you're fine. They think you're generous. They think you want to do this. But you don't. And now you're sitting there at 3 a.m, wondering why you can't just say no. Wondering what's wrong with you. Wondering why everyone else seems to have boundaries and you're just leaking everywhere. I want to tell you something that might sting a little. Overgiving is not generosity. Let that land for a second. Overgiving is not generosity. It's a defense mechanism. It's a strategy. It's armor we wear to protect ourselves from the very thing we're most afraid of. And today, we're going to talk about why you overgive, really why, and how to break this pattern for good. Not with more self-discipline. Not with another boundary-setting workshop. But by going to the root of what's actually happening. Because here's what I know after 20 years of research on shame, vulnerability, and wholehearted living. Until you understand the why beneath your overgiving, no amount of just say, no advice is going to stick. So let's go there. Let's go to the uncomfortable places. Let's shine a light on what we've been avoiding. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Sarah. Sarah is 43 years old, a middle manager at a tech company, a mother of 2, and the person everyone calls when they need something. She's the one who organizes the office baby showers. She's the one who stays late to help her colleague finish a presentation. She's the one her sister calls every single night to complain about her marriage. Sarah came to one of my talks completely burned out. Dark circles under her eyes, that smile that doesn't quite reach anywhere real. And she asked me a question: how do I make myself care less? How do I stop being so affected by other people's needs? And I said, Sarah, that's the wrong question. The question isn't how to care less. The question is, what are you getting in return for all this giving? She looked at me like I'd slapped her. Getting. I'm not getting anything. That's the problem. I give and nobody ever. No, I interrupted gently. What are you really getting? Silence. And then tears. Here's what Sarah was getting. She was getting to feel needed. She was getting to feel valuable. She was getting to feel like she mattered. Because somewhere deep in her wiring was this belief, this lie, really, that her worth was directly proportional to her usefulness. That if she stopped being helpful, she'd stop being wanted. That love was something you earned, not something you were worthy of just by existing. This is the transaction nobody told you about. When we overgive, we're not actually being selfless. We're running a silent bargain. If I give you enough, my time, my energy, my resources, my attention, you'll have to love me. You'll have to stay. You'll have to see me as valuable. And here's the gut punch: it never works. Because love that has to be earned isn't actually love. It's a contract. And contracts can be broken, which is why overgivers live in a constant state of low-grade panic, always wondering if they've done enough, given enough, been enough. Let me ask you something. And I want you to really sit with this. When was the last time you gave something, your time, your help, your attention, without keeping score? When was the last time you didn't mentally note that you showed up for someone who didn't show up for you? That you remembered their birthday when they forgot yours? That you listened when they never ask how you're doing? I'm not judging you. I'm with you. Because I've been there. I spent years of my life convinced that if I just helped enough people, cared enough, showed up enough, I'd finally feel secure. I'd finally feel like I belonged. But belonging that requires constant proving isn't belonging. It's performing. And performing is exhausting. You know what else performing does? It creates this invisible wall between you and everyone else. Because when you're always in the helper role, when you're always the strong one, when you're always the giver, you never let anyone see you struggle. You never let anyone see you need. You never let anyone see the real you, the messy you, the you that doesn't have it all together. And that means you never experience real intimacy. Because intimacy, true intimacy, requires mutuality. It requires taking turns being vulnerable. It requires letting someone see you at your worst and trusting they won't leave. But overgivers can't do that. We stay perpetually one up, perpetually in control, perpetually safe from the vulnerability of being truly known. Sarah told me something after that initial conversation that I think about all the time. She said, "I realize I've been surrounding myself with people who need me because it feels safer than being around people who seek me." Let that sink in. People who need you versus people who see you. There's a world of difference. People who need you want something from you. People who see you want to know you. People who need you relate to you through your function. People who see you relate to you through your humanity. And here's the question you have to ask yourself. Which relationships are you actually cultivating? Are you choosing people who see you? Or are you choosing people who need you? Because I promise you, you're choosing. This isn't happening to you. This is a pattern you're creating again and again because it feels familiar, even if it's killing you. There's a reason you learn to overgive. And it's not because you're a good person, though you might be. It's not because you're naturally generous, though you might be that too. You learn to overgive because, at some point in your story, being needed felt safer than being vulnerable. Let me say that again, being needed felt safer than being vulnerable. Maybe you grew up in a house where love was conditional, where you were praised for being helpful but ignored when you needed help, where the message was clear: your needs are a burden, but your service is valuable. I think about the messages we get as kids, not the explicit ones. Those are easy to identify. I'm talking about the implicit ones. The ones that seep into your bones without you even realizing it. Maybe your mom was overwhelmed, and you learned that the way to make her happy was to be easy, to not ask for things, to help with your younger siblings, to be the little adult in the house. And every time you did that, you got this hit of approval, this sense of mattering. So you kept doing it. Or maybe your dad was emotionally unavailable, and the only time he really engaged with you was when you were achieving something, getting good grades, winning the game, making him look good. And you learned performance equals love, usefulness equals attention. Or maybe, and this one's harder to talk about, maybe someone left. Maybe through death, maybe through divorce, maybe through abandonment. And your child brain made this logical conclusion: if I'm good enough, helpful enough, indispensable enough, people won't leave. They can't leave. They'll need me too much. I'll tell you something about my own story. I grew up in a family where emotions were big and unpredictable. And I learned very young that my job was to manage everyone else's feelings, to be the peacekeeper, to read the room and adjust accordingly, to make sure everyone was okay. And you know what? I got really good at it. So good that I carried it into every relationship I had, every friendship, every romantic relationship, every professional setting. I became the person who could sense what everyone needed and give it to them before they even asked. I was proud of this skill. I thought it made me special. I thought it made me valuable. What I didn't realize is that it was making me invisible. Because when you're so busy being what everyone needs, you disappear. The real you, the one with needs and wants and preferences and boundaries, gets buried under all that performing. And the worst part, you start to forget that person even exists. You start to believe that your value really does come from your usefulness. That who you are at your core, separate from what you do, isn't enough. This is the wound. This is what we're really talking about when we talk about overgiving. We're talking about a fundamental belief that we're not inherently worthy, that we have to earn our keep, that our existence alone isn't valuable enough. And that wound, it runs deep. It's been with you so long you might not even recognize it as a wound anymore. You might just think it's who you are. But it's not who you are. It's what happened to you. And there's a difference. Let me tell you about the day I realized how deep my overgiving pattern went. I was in my therapist's office. Yes, therapists need therapists. And if you think you're too healthy or too spiritual or too self-aware to need therapy, that's probably your wound talking. And she asked me a simple question: Brene, when was the last time you asked someone for help? I immediately started listing all the times I'd asked for help. Just last week, I asked my husband to pick up the kids. And I asked my research assistant too. She stopped me. Those are logistics. I'm asking about emotional help. When was the last time you were struggling and you reached out to someone and said, "I'm not okay and I need you"? I sat there, silent, because I couldn't think of a single time. And then she said something that cracked me open. "Brene, you've built a life where you're needed by everyone and vulnerable to no one. And you're exhausted because carrying everyone else's stuff while refusing to put down your own isn't strength. It's isolation." I sobbed, like full body sobbed, because she was right. I had spent my entire adult life studying vulnerability, teaching vulnerability, talking about vulnerability. And I wasn't actually being vulnerable. I was performing vulnerability. I was sharing the stories that were safe to share, the ones where I'd already done the work and come out the other side. But in the messy middle, in the actual moment of need, I was alone, because I didn't believe anyone would show up for me. Not really. Not the way I showed up for them. And here's the thing about that belief, it was based on absolutely nothing. I had never tested it. I had never given anyone the chance to show up for me because I never let them see that I needed them to. I was running from a rejection that hadn't even happened yet. Does this sound familiar? Are you running from something too? There's this fantasy we carry as overgivers. It goes something like this: if I just manage my time better, if I just get more organized, if I just practice better self-care, I'll be able to keep giving at this pace without burning out. It's the myth of the bottomless well. The idea that we can pour and pour and pour, and if we just find the right wellness routine, the well will never run dry. But here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. You are not a well. You are a human being. And human beings aren't designed to give endlessly without receiving. We're not designed to be in perpetual output mode. We're designed for reciprocity, for rhythm, for seasons of giving and seasons of receiving, for exhaling and inhaling. But overgivers, we're trying to exhale without ever inhaling, and then wondering why we're suffocating. I want to introduce you to someone I'll call Marcus. Marcus is a pastor. And if you know anything about pastoral work, you know it's basically professional overgiving. Everyone needs something. Everyone has a crisis. Everyone wants your time, your wisdom, your presence. Marcus came to me after he had what he called a small breakdown in his car after a church service. He said, "Brene, I sat in the parking lot and I couldn't move. I couldn't go home to my family. I couldn't answer one more text. I just sat there thinking, I have nothing left. The well is dry." And I asked him, "When was the last time someone poured into you?" He laughed, that bitter laugh we do when we realize something awful. I don't let people do that. I'm the one who's supposed to have it together. There it is, the belief that receiving makes us weak. That needing makes us less than. That being filled up by others is somehow selfish or wrong. But here's what I told Marcus, and I'm telling you, refusing to receive is not humility. It's armor. When you refuse to let others give to you, when you deflect compliments, reject help, decline support, you're not being humble. You're staying in control. You're avoiding the vulnerability of being seen in your need. You're protecting yourself from the risk of disappointment if they don't show up the way you need them to. Think about what happens when someone tries to give to you. Let's say a friend notices you're struggling and offers to bring you dinner. What do? If you're an overgiver, you probably say something like, "Oh no, I'm fine. I've got it handled. But thank you so much." And you say it with such conviction that they believe you. Or maybe they compliment your work, and instead of just saying thank you, you deflect. You minimize, you make a joke. You shift the attention to them. Or maybe someone asks, "How are you doing really?" And you could tell them the truth, that you're drowning, that you're overwhelmed, that you're barely holding it together. But instead you smile and say, "I'm good. How are you?" Every single one of these moments is an opportunity for connection that you're refusing. Every single one is a moment where you could let someone see you, help you, care for you, and you're saying no. Why? Because receiving is vulnerable. It means admitting you don't have it all together. It means being in the position of need. It means trusting someone else to show up for you. It means risking disappointment. And for those of us who learned early that our needs were too much, that asking was dangerous, that vulnerability led to rejection, receiving feels terrifying. So we stay in the giving position, safe, in control, alone. But that protection comes at a cost. The cost is connection. The cost is intimacy. The cost is your own humanity. Because part of being human is needing. Part of being in relationship is allowing yourself to be cared for, not just caring for others. Part of love is learning to receive it, not just give it. Marcus and I talked for a long time that day, and I asked him to do something that felt impossible to him. I asked him to let 3 people from his congregation serve him in some way over the next month, not big things. Just small things. Let someone bring him coffee. Let someone pray for him instead of him always praying for them. Let someone ask how his kids were doing and actually tell them the truth. He looked at me like I'd asked him to jump off a cliff, but he did it. And you know what he discovered? That people wanted to give to him. That they'd been wanting to for years, but he'd never let them. That being needed by him actually made them feel more connected to him, not less. One woman in his church said something that brought him to tears. She said, "Pastor Marcus, you've been carrying us for so long. Please let us carry you for once. We want to, we need to, we need to." Think about that. When you refuse to receive, you're not just protecting yourself. You're also robbing other people of the gift of giving. You're denying them the opportunity to love you. You're keeping the relationship one-dimensional. And here's what I've learned in my own journey with this. The people who love you actually want to give to you. They want to help. They want to support you. They want to show up. But you have to let them. You have to be brave enough to need them. You have to be willing to say, "I'm struggling," or "I need help," or "I can't do this alone." And yes, sometimes people won't show up. Sometimes you'll be disappointed. Sometimes you'll ask and they'll say no, or they'll forget, or they'll let you down. But that's the risk of being human. That's the risk of being in relationship. And I promise you, the risk of disappointment is far less painful than the guarantee of isolation. Consider this. What if the people in your life actually want to give to you? What if they've been waiting for you to let them in? What if your refusal to receive has actually created distance in your relationships because nobody feels needed by you? What if the very thing you're afraid of, being too much, being a burden, is actually happening because you won't let anyone carry anything for you? What if your overgiving is creating the exact dynamic you're trying to avoid? Think about that. Really think about it. Let's talk about the word that terrifies overgivers more than any other no. 2 letters. 1 syllable. Infinite anxiety. Because for an overgiver, saying no feels like letting people down, being selfish, risking rejection, proving you don't care, losing your value, breaking the unspoken contract that keeps you safe. Am I close? Here's what I need you to hear. Your yes means nothing if you can't say no. Read that again. Your yes means nothing if you can't say no. Think about it. If you say yes to everything, if you can never say no, then your yes isn't a choice. It's a compulsion. It's not generosity, it's obligation. It's not love, it's fear. And the people on the receiving end, they can feel it. They can feel the resentment underneath your helping. They can sense that you don't really want to be there. They can tell that your yes came with strings attached. The string that says, "You owe me now. You have to appreciate this. You have to see how good I am." But a true yes, a wholehearted yes, can only exist when no is also an option. Let me tell you about a client I worked with, a woman I'll call Janet. Janet said yes to everything: hosting Thanksgiving for 30 people, being the team lead on 3 projects, coaching her daughter's soccer team, running the PTA fundraiser, planning her best friend's baby shower, organizing her father's 70th birthday party. And she was miserable, but she couldn't stop. Because every time she thought about saying no, she'd hear this voice: "They'll think you're selfish. They'll be disappointed. They'll find someone better. They'll realize you're not actually that important." The catastrophic thinking was off the charts. In her mind, saying no to one thing meant losing everything. It meant being exposed as someone who wasn't as generous, as capable, as good as everyone thought she was. So I asked her to do something radical. I asked her to say no to one thing, just one, and to sit with whatever came up. She chose to decline co-chairing the school auction, something she'd done for 5 years. And you know what happened? She had a full-blown panic attack. Sitting on her bathroom floor, hyperventilating, convinced she'd just destroyed every relationship she had. The voice in her head was relentless. You're so selfish. You're letting everyone down. They're gonna hate you. They're gonna talk about you. You're gonna lose all your friends. Your kids are gonna be affected. What have you done? But she sent the email. She said, no. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I need to step back from this commitment this year. That's it. That was the email. No lengthy explanation. No apologizing 17 times. No offering to do something else instead. Just, I need to step back. And here's what actually happened, the other person said. Totally understand. Thanks for all the years you've done it. We'll find someone else. That's it. No guilt trip. No anger. No relationship ending catastrophe. No emergency meeting. No gossip campaign. Nothing. And Janet said something to me that I'll never forget. I realized I've been saying yes to things for years to avoid a discomfort that wasn't even real. The disaster I was afraid of didn't exist. I made it up. She made it up. We do this. We create these elaborate disaster scenarios in our minds about what will happen if we say no. We catastrophize. We imagine the worst possible outcomes. We play out entire conversations where people are angry with us, disappointed in us, done with us. And then we say yes to avoid this imaginary disaster. But here's what I want you to consider. What if the disaster you're avoiding isn't the one where people are upset with you for saying no? What if the real disaster is the life you're living right now? Overextended, exhausted, resentful, disconnected from yourself. What if saying no isn't the risk? What if saying yes is the risk? Because every time you say yes when you mean no, you're betraying yourself. Every time you override your own limits to accommodate someone else, you're teaching yourself that your needs don't matter. Every time you give when you have nothing left to give, you're deepening the belief that your worth comes from your usefulness. And that's the real disaster. Not someone being temporarily inconvenienced because you set a boundary. Not someone having to find another volunteer. Not someone feeling disappointed for a moment. The real disaster is you losing yourself completely. Janet started practicing her no. She started small, declining a lunch invitation here, saying she couldn't help with a project there. And you know what she discovered? Most people didn't even blink. Some people said, okay, no problem. Some people said, thanks for being honest. Some people just moved on to ask someone else. But there were a few people who didn't respond well. A few people who pushed back, who tried to make her feel guilty, who acted like her boundary was a personal offense. And you know what that revealed? That those people had gotten very comfortable with Janet having no boundaries. They'd gotten used to her being available for anything, anytime. They'd gotten used to a relationship that was one-sided. And when she started to rebalance things, they didn't like it. But here's what Janet said about those people. I realized they didn't actually care about me. They cared about what I could do for them. And losing those relationships didn't feel like a loss. It felt like freedom. Freedom. That's what the sacred no gives you. Freedom to live your own life. Freedom to honor your own limits. Freedom to give from a place of genuine desire instead of fearful obligation. The sacred no isn't about becoming selfish or uncaring. It's about becoming honest. It's about letting your yes mean something. It's about respecting your own capacity, your own limits, your own needs. And here's the truly sacred part. When you start saying no to things that aren't yours to carry, you create space for the yeses that matter. You create space for the people and projects and passions that actually fill you up instead of drain you. You create space for the life you actually want to live instead of the life everyone else wants you to live. Think about your life right now. Think about all the things you're doing, all the commitments you're keeping, all the people you're helping. How many of those things are genuine yeses? How many are things you actually want to be doing? And how many are obligation yeses, fear yeses, proving yeses, can't say no yeses? I'm going to guess it's more than you want to admit. So here's your invitation. What's one thing you could say no to? What's one commitment you could release? What's one boundary you could set? Start there. Just one no. And see what happens. I'm not saying it will be comfortable. I'm not saying people won't be disappointed. I'm saying it will be worth it. Because the sacred no is the doorway to freedom. But you have to be willing to walk through it. Here's what I want you to know. Breaking the overgiving pattern isn't about becoming less caring. It's about caring for yourself with the same fierceness you've been carrying for everyone else. It's about coming home to yourself. For so long, you've been living outside yourself, in other people's needs, other people's expectations, other people's approval. You've made a home in being needed because it felt safer than being known, but you can't live there forever. Because a home built on constant proving, constant giving, constant performing, that's not a home. That's a prison. Coming home to yourself means asking some hard questions. Who am I when I'm not being useful? What do I actually want? Separate from what everyone else needs. What would I do if I wasn't afraid of disappointing people? What parts of myself have I abandoned in order to be who everyone else needs me to be? These questions are terrifying because they require you to sit with the possibility that you might not like what you discover, that you might have needs you've been ignoring for decades, that you might want things that conflict with your obligations, that you might be angry about things you've been smiling through. But these questions are also the path home. Let me tell you what changed for me. I started asking myself before every commitment, am I saying yes because I genuinely want to? Or am I saying yes because I'm afraid of what will happen if I say no? And when the answer was the latter, when I was saying yes out of fear, I practiced saying, let me think about it. Not a no, not a yes, just space. Space to feel what was real. And in that space, I discovered something. I had spent so much energy managing other people's feelings about me that I had no idea what my feelings were. I had outsourced my sense of self to everyone else's perception. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know who I was separate from all my roles and responsibilities and relationships. I disappeared. Coming home meant learning to sit with my own discomfort, to let people be disappointed, to stop performing, to stop proving, to stop earning. It meant learning that my worth is not determined by my usefulness, that I am valuable because I exist, not because of what I do. That being loved means being seen, really seen, not being needed. And here's what happened when I started living that way, my relationships got deeper. Because when I stopped performing, people could actually see me. When I stopped overgiving, people could actually give to me. When I stopped being the helper all the time, I could actually be human. I remember the first time I told a friend I was struggling and I needed support. My heart was pounding. I felt like I was asking for something outrageous. I felt weak and needy and pathetic. But she said, "Thank you for telling me. I'm here. What do you need?" No judgment. No shock that I didn't have it all together. No backing away. Just presence. And I realized this is what I'd been missing. This is what I'd been protecting myself from. Not rejection, connection, real connection. The kind that requires mutual vulnerability. I lost some relationships too, because some people only wanted the version of me that served them. And that hurt. But you know what hurt more? Losing myself. There was this woman in my life who I'd been friends with for years, and our entire friendship was built on me being there for her. Every crisis, every drama, every problem, I was the one she called. And I showed up every single time. But when I started setting boundaries, when I started saying, "I can't tonight," or "I need to take care of myself right now," she got angry. She said I'd changed, that I wasn't the friend I used to be, that I was being selfish. And you know what? She was right. I had changed. I wasn't the friend I used to be, the one who abandoned herself to show up for everyone else. I was becoming a friend who could show up from a genuine place, not an obligated place. And that friendship ended. She found someone else who would play that role, someone else who would always say yes. And it hurt. It really hurt. Because I loved her. Because I'd invested years in that relationship. Because losing people is painful, even when the relationship wasn't healthy. But I also knew something: that relationship was killing me. It was one-sided. It was draining. And holding on to it meant letting go of myself. So I let her go. And I grieved. And I learned. I learned that some people are only in your life for what you can give them. And when you stop giving, they leave. And that's actually information. That's not a loss, it's clarity. The people who love you for who you are will stay. The people who love you for what you do for them will leave when you stop doing it. And you know what? That's okay. Because you're not here to be used. You're here to be loved. Really loved. For who you are, not what you provide. Coming home to yourself means accepting this truth: you cannot control whether people love you. You can only control whether you love yourself enough to stop performing for approval. You cannot control whether people stay. You can only control whether you stay true to yourself. You cannot control how people respond to your boundaries. You can only control whether you honor your own limits. And that's enough. That has to be enough. Because the alternative, living outside yourself, performing for love, giving from empty, that's not sustainable. You know it's not. You're living it right now, and it's destroying you. So what does coming home look like practically? It starts with small acts of self-loyalty. It starts with honoring yourself the way you've been honoring everyone else. It means saying, let me check my calendar, instead of automatically saying yes. It means letting the call go to voicemail when you don't have the capacity. It means asking for help when you need it, even if it feels impossible. It means disappointing someone because keeping the commitment would mean betraying yourself. It means choosing rest over productivity. It means choosing honesty over performance. It means choosing you. And I know that feels selfish. I know every fiber of your being is screaming that this is wrong, that you should be able to do it all, that your needs don't matter as much as everyone else's. But that voice, that's not your voice. That's the voice of the wound. That's the voice of the little kid who learned that love was conditional. That's the voice of the part of you that still believes your worth has to be earned. And you have to talk back to that voice. You have to say, I hear you. I know you're trying to protect me, but I'm safe now. I don't have to earn my place anymore. I'm worthy just as I am. You have to practice this over and over and over, because that voice won't go away overnight. That pattern won't break with one boundary. That wound won't heal with one act of self-care. But it will heal, slowly, messily, imperfectly. It will heal when you keep choosing yourself, when you keep honoring your limits, when you keep saying no when you mean no and yes when you mean yes. It will heal when you let people see you, really see you, in your struggle and your need and your imperfection. It will heal when you stop performing and start living. So here's where I'll leave you. If you're an overgiver, I want you to know your exhaustion is not a moral failing. Your resentment is not proof that you're a bad person. Your inability to say no is not a character flaw. It's a wound. It's a pattern. It's a protection mechanism you developed to survive. And it served you. It got you through. It kept you safe in whatever way you needed to be safe. But you don't need it anymore. You don't need to earn your belonging. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to be endlessly useful to be loved. You can come home now. You can put down the armor. You can stop performing and start living. And yes, it will be uncomfortable. Yes, some people will be confused. Yes, you'll disappoint people who've gotten used to the old you. But here's what I know for sure. On the other side of that discomfort is a life where you get to be both generous and boundaried. Where you get to give and receive. Where you get to care for others and yourself. Where you get to be whole. So start small. Say one no this week. Let someone help you with one thing. Ask one person for support. Disappoint one person who's gotten too comfortable with your yes. And when the panic comes, when the fear says, they'll leave, they'll stop loving you, you'll lose everything. I want you to breathe and remember, the people who love you for who you are will stay. The people who only loved what you could do for them. They were never yours to begin with. You are not a resource to be used up. You are a human being, worthy of rest, worthy of care, worthy of love, not because of what you give, but because of who you are. You are enough, right now as you are. Without doing one more thing, you don't have to earn your existence. You don't have to justify taking up space. You don't have to be useful to be valuable. You just have to be. And that's the hardest thing in the world for overgivers to believe, because we've spent our whole lives trying to prove it, trying to earn it, trying to deserve it. But you can't earn what's already yours. Your worth is inherent. Your value is built in. Your belovedness is non-negotiable. You are loved, not for what you do, but for who you are. And when you start believing that, really believing it, in your bones, everything changes. Your relationships change, your work changes, your energy changes, your life changes. Because you stop giving from deficit and start giving from overflow. You stop saying yes from fear and start saying yes from desire. You stop performing for approval and start living from authenticity. And that's when you discover the most beautiful truth. You're actually more giving, more generous, more present when you